Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Joe Karp is his whole name here in Palm Beach County and probably other places in South Florida is such a tradition for going to someone who really can help you in elder law. He's been doing this a long, long time before people even knew what elder law was. And we're so privileged to have him on our show, in our magazine. And you know, I always look at all the articles that he writes, and they're so well done. And this particular one is very, very important because I've heard so many discussions on life insurance for an older person. Should they not? So why don't you talk about that, Joe? Life insurance is an excellent protection, an important asset.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at life insurance the way they start out. I've got to make sure that if I die, my lost income will be there to protect my family. So they're given numbers and what's an appropriate number to have for life insurance to make sure if they die, the mortgage is paid off, there's money for the kids' education, there's money to take care of the spouse if the spouse was a homemaker, and if the spouse was the one who's insured, they got insurance because they say, well, the homemaker is not going to be there for the kids, the working spouse is going to have to work less, hire help to help with the kids and all of that. So people take life insurance on a very traditional basis to take care of the necessities that they see coming as they're in their family-raising years. And many people appropriately take term insurance at that point because it provides so much extra coverage for so much less dollars. And those dollars are necessary to support the family. And most people think about it and say, that's enough. But there are other people who have bought whole life insurance policies and universal life insurance policies and other life insurance policies that have longer-term benefits. But as they get older, they start to say, well, what do I need this for anymore? If I die, there's enough money for me and my wife. We're not supporting the kids anymore. Or if I die, my husband doesn't need this money anymore. He's got his own sources of income and revenue. And they tend to sort of say, well, let's get rid of these old policies, or let's cash them in, or let's just do away with the policy and not keep paying the premiums. And for some people, that's an absolutely appropriate decision. But for some people, it's not because they haven't thought things through. There's a couple of things. As we all know, when somebody gets older, it gets more expensive, right?
Oh.
People need help in the home. People need assisted living. People need other help. They can't drive anymore, and somebody's got to cart them around, or else they're a prisoner. The other thing, so it gets more expensive as you get older. But especially if your spouse has died, it's more expensive on an individual basis than it is for two. Many of my clients live in condos. Well, guess what? The condo charges the same as if there's one in view in that apartment or two, right? The maintenance fee doesn't go down. Maybe the water bill goes down a little because one of you used more water. Maybe the electric bill goes down a little bit because you don't have two television sets going at the same time, or the air conditioning is not kept as cold because one person liked it colder. But for the most part, the cost of being in the home costs more. Food gets, I think, more expensive when people are alone than when they have a spouse, because there's greater tendency for an individual to buy either prepared meals or eat out, because a lot of people don't want to eat home alone. So, and they certainly, don't want to just eat a sandwich. They want to eat like they used to when they were married. They want to have some food together. They want the socialization, or they want to just have a decent meal, so they buy stuff to go that's a little more nutritious, a little better than a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a bowl of Frosted Flakes. And as a result, they end up spending as much on food for two as they do for one. For one as they did for two, pardon me. Yet, their income declines because when the first spouse dies, one Social Security payment is lost. So the survivor gets the higher of the two, but not both. So now we've lost one stream of revenue. Frequently, if the decedent had a life insurance, had a pension, the pension either goes or gets substantially reduced. Some people have pensions where their spouse gets the same amount, but many get reduced. So you find yourself in a position where your cost of living has not declined, but your income has. So if people had kept some life insurance, that life insurance is there as a hedge against that lost revenue. So if you're insured and you have a $250,000 policy, I know it may make you cringe to pay the premium each year, but recognize if you die, if you were the higher earner, your spouse will get that $250,000 when you die, and your income that is lost will be replaced with a lump sum payment, which, by the way, is not income taxable. So it's a very good way to help protect your spouse for that lost income. And many of my clients just don't even think about it. They're still thinking, well, the kids are out of school. We don't need that insurance to take care of the kids. It's not to take care of the kids. It's to take care of the spouse. So that's one of the reasons people should look at their life insurance as not something that should be automatically disposed of or wasted.
So I have another question. Wait, before you do that.
Sure.
Are there not life insurance policies also now that can be converted into something else?
Well, they can be converted into an annuity, or they can be converted into another life insurance policy if you're insurable, or it can be converted with the existing company into a single premium policy. And you say, what does that mean? Well, suppose the cash value of your life insurance is $100,000. The death benefit is $250,000, but it's costing you $4,000 a year to pay for the insurance. I'm making up these numbers, so don't use these as real numbers. And you say, well, I can't afford the $4,000 a month anymore. One, you have the ability, if you want to, turn that, you could cash in that policy and take the 100. Two, but too many people wait till it's too late, and some of these policies, the cash values keep declining. Two, if the cash value is decent, you may convert it into a single premium policy. And what does that mean? It says, I want to stop paying. Instead of giving me the $100,000 insurance company, recalculate my death benefit. And they might say, okay, there'll be a death benefit of $150,000. And you may say, that's fine. This money is saved for, so when I die, my spouse will get the $150,000. And that way, there's no income tax. If there had been a profit, there's none. And what you've just done is stop the payment on the policies. There are also people who will buy these policies if your age is high enough and maybe give you more than the $100,000 cash value. But for many people, they just assume, because I can't afford the premiums, I'm going to let it go. And some of the people, because they don't want to pay the premiums, they let it go. Not because they can't. And by the way, insurance companies plan on that.
Really?
Insurance companies make the money because they know people will not wait to die to collect the premium, the policy limits. They win on that all the time. In fact, one of the problems, some of the analyses I've read, people complain about the fact that long-term insurance, the rates and premiums keep going up, right? You've heard that, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've seen that.
Sure.
Well, here's one of the reasons I read that happens. Because insurance companies had a mindset that the long-term insurance was like life insurance, that people will stop paying the premiums and will cancel the policy. What they didn't realize, and some people do, and it's you shake your head and say, why the hell did they do it? They bought it when they were 72, and now that they're 87, they say the hell with it, and they stop paying as they're approaching higher and higher years. The reality is they've discovered that people aren't canceling the policies because people recognize that they may collect on them, and guess what? It's costing the insurance companies more money than they thought it would. Mm. So that's why they're raising the premiums, because they never called that. They never anticipated that people would hold these policies and keep paying it, because you look at the cost of home care, nursing home care, assisted living, and you say, hey, I know this premium is high and will make up a number, $4,000 a year, but you know what? It's going to pay me X dollars over 3 or 5 years if I end up needing help home, mm-hmm. or home in an assistant living or a nursing home. I like that, particularly the people who want to ensure that they have cash coming for home, because the Medicaid home care program is very limited and very limited dollar benefit. So they say, hey, if this is going to pay me $5,000 a month, that can keep me at home. I can use some private duty care, and even if I'm not getting 24-hour care, I'm going to get 8 hours of care a day or 10 hours of care a day, and that'll keep me home, so I'll keep those policies. So people are keeping them. So one of the reasons to keep your life insurance is to protect your spouse. And remember, one of the other things to do is to keep it so that there's a residual benefit for your children. And you say, I don't care, my kids are grown, they're taken care of, I don't want to leave them money, that's not my priority. Know what I find? I hear everybody say that.
Really?
And then I hear everybody not do that.
Mm-hmm.
My clients want to leave something to their children. That is their desire. That is who they are. They want to do that. And many of my clients' children can, in fact, benefit from an inheritance where it may make a difference because they have inadequate retirement plans themselves, or they're working too hard and won't retire because they need the money. So my clients, I see, have a tendency to still be frugal with themselves to leave money for their children. And
well, that's kind of interesting, because a lot of people now are running out of money and their children are having to take care of them. So if
there's
children,
the reverse as well,
right.
But there's both ends of the spectrum. But the clients who are scared to spend money because they want to leave money to their children, and they're doing Medicaid planning with me because they want to leave money to their children, they want to protect the assets. One of the things life insurance can do is set up a fund where you say, hey, that's what they're going to get when I die. This policy is there for the kids. Now we can spend our money on ourselves. We've set aside their inheritance. And for some of my clients, that gives them a sense of peace of mind and comfort.
Well, that's a good point. And what I want to do, though, also is encourage a lot of our listeners, even if you've already been to Joe Karp's seminars, which he holds every month, I think you should go again because the tax laws have changed. Maybe things in your life have changed. And, of course, he's very entertaining. So, Joe, why don't you tell everybody when your seminar is going to be in March?
Sure. And not only have the tax laws changed, the Medicaid laws have changed, but and your life has changed, but sometimes you don't even think about it. You sort of put it out of your mind that you really need to change it. And also your cognitive skills, your hearing, everything has changed. A number of my clients who have to come back in or have heard me in the past, I had somebody who came in the other day who hired me, saw me 3 years ago and said, I'll wait. Came in now, we need this right away. We're going into the hospital. My husband has cognitive impairment. We need to get this done right away. So it's always better to look in advance to take care of things. Anyway, our seminar's in March. This coming Tuesday, March 13th, in Port St. Lucie at the Port St. Lucie Holiday Inn. I'll be there. We start at 1:30. We run till about 4, sometimes a little under, sometimes a little over. Then Wednesday in Boynton Beach, March 14th, at the Courtyard by Marriott on Congress Avenue from 1:30 to 4 as well. And then on Thursday, March 15th, Beware the Ides of March at Palm Beach Gardens Marriott just off PGA Boulevard, again from 1:30 to 4. We talk about estate planning issues. We talk about whether your documents and estate plans are current based upon today's law. Is your trust a ticking time bomb if you've done one? Are there problems within older trusts? Do you have a will and are you not going to avoid probate? There's just a lot of things we talk about. Then we break and we come back and talk about Medicaid, long-term care, and VA benefits for long-term care. And we also talk about, we offer you an opportunity to schedule a free consultation if we believe we can help you. So if you've attended the seminar, you get to hear a whole bunch of stuff, you get to hear from us, and then you get to have an opportunity to meet with one of the lawyers to review your estate plan at no charge. Now, for those of you who don't want to go to the seminar and want to make an appointment, they'll give you an appointment in my office. You can call up, but you will pay for that consultation. Because the seminar and this workshop opens your eyes up to a whole bunch of issues. And we talk about the things you can do and can't do and the advantages and disadvantages of certain things. You also get to get a handle on my law firm so that you know what you're coming in for and you can ask far more pointed questions. Well, many people will discover that a trust is appropriate for them after being there. Some will think they're not.
Yep. You know, the other thing that comes up is a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this, they had a trust. Thank goodness you are always on top of your, pardon the expression, you're on top of your clients, and every year, 2, 3 years, you get in front of them and say, come in, because we need to look at what you've done. But I'm sure you've found people who, sure, they made a will and trust 10 years ago. They never think about it.
Absolutely. We tell our clients they're entitled to a free review every 3 years. But they can always contact if there's a change in circumstances. But many people who come into me, I joke, the couple will be in their mid-70s, and they'll say, this is an old will. I say, is your mother getting custody of the children? And sometimes I'm right, that their mother's getting custody of the children.
Right.
And they assume, I did a power of attorney 10 years ago, and they assume it's still good. And it's usually not. There are changes that took place in the law, and sometimes because not only in terms of what a power of attorney should, how it gets done and executed, but even now how the world looks at it. The world is very, very particular at looking at a power of attorney to see what it says if you have the power. So somebody will come in and think they can walk on water because they're power of attorney for their spouse or for their parent. And I'll say, no, you can't do gifting. You can't transfer assets. You can't do this. And they say, why not? I'm the power of attorney. And I say, well, tell me where here you think it says you can plan for Medicaid and transfer mom's assets to make her Medicaid eligible. It's not there. So nipping these things in the bud is very important. And candidly, many people particularly didn't do these wills, trusts, powers of attorney, healthcare documents with people who specialize in this field. So they did it with the local lawyer who did their real estate closing.
Right.
Who said you really ought to have a will.
Right.
And it was done very basically to meet a very basic need, as their needs are no longer basic and they're far more sophisticated and their concerns are greater. I mean, you started by saying when we first went on the air that Joe was doing elder law before anybody knew about it.
Right.
I'll tell you a true story. The Yellow Pages came to meet with me in 1994, 1995, 1996, and they wanted me to do Yellow Pages ads and listings. And I said, well, where's your heading for elder law? And they said, we don't have one. What's that?
Yeah, right.
And I said, when you're ready to put that in, you can put it in for me and I'll be in there. But nobody knew about elder law. Well, two things have happened since then. Elder law has become a major, major legal area of specialization, and the Yellow Pages are history.
That's true.
Nobody picks up the Yellow Pages anymore.
But that's so, and elder law, and you're really right. It's almost like this with doctors. There are geriatric doctors who really have their geriatricians. They've gone to medical school for more years to become one. And then there are the doctors who say, well, I deal with all these older people, so, I'm certainly can call myself a geriatric physician. But that's what lawyers do. Well, I'm dealing with trusts and wills. What's the difference, right?
Yeah, I understand. What I always tell people is the way I distinguish elder law, particularly from just regular estate planning, is our primary concern when we're addressing any estate planning issue is what happens when you're alive. Who's in charge of what when you're alive, not what happens when you're dead. What happens when you're dead is very important, but start with what's most important. So there's been a lot of articles written in the local papers about the problems with professional guardians, right? You've read it. People have read about it.
Yes.
And I'm not going to castigate professional guardians because like in every other field, there's good and bad. But what do we know? That most people don't want a professional guardian. Most people don't want a court-appointed stranger controlling their lives. Remember, the guardians are there when you're alive, not when you're dead. Most people don't want that. And the answer is that is a life problem, and that's a problem that can be addressed with the appropriate documents while you're alive. I had somebody in the other day who said to me, when I said, who do you want making your medical decisions if you can't? And they said, can I decide that later? I said, okay, so you tell me, when you're on the gurney being rushed into the emergency room
right.
and you're unconscious, First of all, do you think you're going to become lucid enough to make a decision? Second of all, do you think some lawyer's going to run there with paperwork and have you sign it? And third of all, do you think you're going to be happy about the fee you're going to pay when you're dealing with emergency services from a lawyer with out-of-office signings, etc.? I said, no, you deal with it now and recognize, yeah, you may change your mind later, but you do what you got while you got it. So people have to realize that that's one of the important things of elder law, is we're always looking about now, planning for the future, but looking about what happens now while I'm alive. Who's going to be there? Who's going to do what? I met with a client the other day, and he's been with a woman for about 10 years. She is now his very significant other, and he had done an estate plan, a trust, a couple of years ago with his estate planning lawyer, and he decided he wanted to change some of the stuff, and I was more geographically convenient, and he looked me up on the internet and said, I'm going to go see me. He came in to see me, and he was leaving his significant other a life estate, which means she has the right to live in his house for the rest of her life, and she can use the house for the rest of her life, and then his kids will get it when she's done. And he's even providing for some money for her to help maintain her after he dies. And
Joe,
I looked at it, he wanted to change the numbers.
and we are.
And I said,
we're out of time. Oh my goodness!
Last quickie.
Go ahead.
I said, can she live in the house if you're disabled? And will your kids as trustees pay the piper?
That's right.
Will they pay to maintain her there?
That's right.
And it was like lights on.
Right, I know.
Anyway, I guess now it's lights off.
Yeah, lights
See you
off.
all next week at my seminar.
Thank you so much,
Okay.
Joe. You're always
Be well.
so good.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.